guys, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card using our new Happy Place stamp set, which features beautiful clusters of peony florals and also an open book image that's integrated right into the same stamp. So I'll be doing some watercoloring. So I stamped the image onto Canson XL 140-pound watercolor paper with some clear embossing ink, and then I spooned on some of our beautiful rose gold embossing powder. After heating the whole panel with my heat gun, I'm just going to start my watercoloring with Ken Oliver color bursts. For the blooms and the peony buds, I'm going to use Alizarin Crimson. Now I am doing wet in wet watercoloring, so before I applied any color pigment, I wet the area of the blooms first with some clean water, and then I applied the pigment. After I applied the pigment, with a fine tip water brush, I took my medium tip brush and I just blended that pigment out towards the top edges of the petals. And I repeated that process for the big bloom and for the small buds as well, and also this smaller peony bloom. I don't show it on camera, but before I place any of the alizarin crimson onto this peony and the buds, I did wet those areas with clean water first, using my medium tipped water brush. I applied the alizarin crimson in layers. I applied a nice base color first, and then I went back and re-wet some of the areas to add additional concentrated amounts of the alizarin crimson because I wanted there to be some really deep, bold color towards the inner petals. You can switch things up a bit and add a second tone or hue. You can add orange or a deeper red color burst, but I just stuck with the alizarin crimson because I wanted that bright and beautiful red hue for my project today. So once I finished coloring in my blooms, I just went ahead and added some lime green color burst to my leaves, but before I added the lime green, I did wet the leaves with some clean water. After I painted the leaves with the base layer of lime color burst, I went back and added some Prussian blue to the inner corners of those leaves to give it a little bit of shading and some more depth. Next, I wet the area of the open-faced book with clean water, and then I added some black color bursts to add shading to the book image. For the pages, I blended a lot of the black out so that it was a nice tonal gray. Since pages are white, I didn't want to just leave the pages uncolored, so I just added a little bit of shading with the watered down black color bursts. And then I just added concentrated amounts of sepia, or I think it's burnt umber, to the covers of the books. Once my image was completely dried, I took the coordinating die for our Happy Place set and I die cut the cluster and book image. Then I took our fresh linen background stamp. It's a really, really great background stamp. Pretty neutral and it goes with almost everything. I lightly inked up the stamp with our crystal pewter dye ink, which is a soft gray ink, and then I placed an A2 piece of cardstock over the inked up area, but I didn't apply pressure over the entire card surface. I only wanted a portion of the card panel to be inked up with this background. So you can see me kind of just pressing here and there, but not really the edges of the card. And you get this really awesome, partially inked up panel. Then I took a strip of craft cardstock and our red glitter adhesive paper, and this is going to break up my card just a bit. And that piece of craft cardstock is where I'm going to stamp my sentiment later. So I just applied some of our strong double-sided adhesive behind that strip of craft cardstock, and then I applied it onto our red glitter adhesive paper. Then I trimmed some of that red adhesive paper to create this double layered or matted strip. I took the protective backing off that red glitter paper and adhered it right onto my fresh linen panel. Then I popped up our Happy Place cluster. Next, I created masks for my sentiment strip and my Happy Place cluster because I wanted to splatter some black black splatters, I guess, onto the card base because I found that I needed a little bit more going on in the background for some interest. Once I was satisfied with the coverage of the splatters, I dried the black watercolor paint with my heat tool because next I'm going to stamp my sentiment from the same Happy Place set using my mini Misti. I inked it up with some of our Caviar hybrid ink and then double stamped the sentiment to get a nice crisp impression. Then I adhered my panel onto a side folding A2 card base, and lastly I added some of our glass slipper sequins in varying sizes over the face of my card, and I made sure to adhere them in a visual triangle around the sentiment and around some of the florals towards the top right hand portion of my card. And my project is now complete. I hope you guys enjoyed today's project and video. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I update it on a weekly basis. So thanks so much for stopping by. I will see you next time. Bye.